What are you most looking forward to about the new job?
Well, I guess when I look back to the things that first attracted me to Jesuit life, I loved the idea of changing job frequently. I love the idea of doing different things. So the Jesuits do all sorts of different works, working in schools, retreat houses, parishes, intellectual work, and all of that appealed to me. And so I have to say just the chance to do something different from what I've been doing is itself a rather exciting opportunity. I'm looking forward very much to learning an awful lot. I guess the learning is going to be partly learning about what some of my brothers have been up to for the last few years. I've been working in instant religious dialogue for the last period myself, and so in some ways I feel a little bit peripheral to the life of the province, and we're really good to get back into the centre of things and to see what's going on. But there's also a lot of work to be done in understanding the international society, the way the Jesuits working all over the world in different fields. So I'm looking forward to all of that. And then I guess there's an almost invisible side of being a provincial, which I'm rather looking forward to. It's got something to do with looking after people who are having difficulty. I mean, we all go through difficulties and crises in religious life, as in any life. And I guess in that sort of situation, the provincial is an important person who can provide a little bit of support. And I think that's an immense privilege for anybody to be able to be part of. So, in a strange way, I'm rather looking forward to those moments of crisis and difficulty.
What do you see as the main challenges facing the British province at this time?
Well, I think it's exactly the same challenge facing the whole church and every religious order in this part of the world, which is to say that the main challenge we're all facing is that of vocations. We absolutely must find a way to attract young people to our life so that we can guarantee that we have a future, because without that, well, there's no point in even planning. I'd love to be able to think that a young man, a young Catholic man, on fire with the love of God and wanting to give his whole life in service of Christ, would look at the Society of Jesus as a natural place to live that out. And so that's my aim, and it's a big dream, and I think it's really important to aim at that. So that's our number one priority. I think that brings with it a big challenge, which again, it's a challenge for the whole church, all the churches, which is how we reach out and how we communicate to young people. I think the generation growing up today, those in their late teens and early 20s, have been dealt a really bad deal. All sorts of difficulties that they're facing at the moment. They tend to be extremely secularized. They have very little exposure to religion, many of them. So I think we really need to find ways of communicating with them, and that will mean helping them to make sense of their lives, helping them to live better lives. And then I suppose a third challenge, again we all face, is a very, very rapidly changing world. With Brexit, for example, we don't know what this country is going to be looking like in a couple of years' time. It makes it very hard to plan. It makes it very hard to know how to respond to the needs that people have. So that's the kind of world that we're living in. Good thing is, though, that it forces us to rely very heavily on God and the Spirit that guides us, and not just on our human cunning.
What are your priorities for your provincialate?
Well, I haven't got a manifesto, I have to say. I'm not Jeremy Corbyn or Theresa May, so I'm not quite sure of a great big list of plans. But I think any Jesuit provincial coming onto the job at this stage would say that the main priority is going to be implementing General Congregation 36, which took place last year in Rome, and which I was very privileged to be at. I think that means two things, principally. The first is helping Jesuits to work together better, work together among themselves, but also to work together with their collaborators. We tend to be quite extrovert as an order, and that means we're very good at going out there and working on our own. We're not quite so good at collaborating with each other, sharing our ideas and sharing our talents among ourselves. So I think a big challenge for all the Jesuits all over the world is to learn how to do that better. And that's quite exciting. And I think that also means improving our community life, improving and deepening the way that we spend time together. So those are two little things. And I think the other thing that comes out of the General Congregation is a desire to respond more fully and more generously to what Pope Francis has been calling us all to in the last few years. I'm thinking particularly of his call to evangelize more fully, and I'm thinking particularly of his call to integrate our Catholic social teaching within an ecological framework. Thinking of that great encyclical Laudato Si. I know a lot of younger Jesuits in particular want to respond to that. And as a society we have an awful lot of resources which we can bring to bear. So we have our intellectual resources, particularly important in this province at the moment, actually, as we're looking at new ways to channel our intellectual resources. But we also have a spirituality, I think, that helps people to live lives that are simple, good, and just. And then, of course, we have many, many friends, all who want to help us on our mission. And that's something that I really feel we can count on.